Me don't tell me children them know it. I don't want he operate on me. I don't want a doctor prescription. Wrong medication does kill man. Tell them I go stick with me doctor. When I'm with him I feel safer. Change for what? She standing firm with Shad.
99.9 WEFM. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Explicit, boy.
We are back with another talk segment here on WeFM's Activated Mornings, and this time we are joined by two gentlemen. One of them is a political candidate, one a former political candidate, and you know him as our Monday man. We are going to have an interview at this time as part of our political conversation series with Mr. Marvin Mega Fraser, the ULP's Central Kingstown candidate, and we're joined by Dr. Gerald Thompson, our Monday co-host. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, my friend, and good morning, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a pleasure to be here. It's wonderful to be alive by the grace of God, and I say blessed morning and blessed love to everybody.
Yes, and everyone knows, I think that Marvin, you were supposed to be potentially here yesterday. It didn't come off. But I thought, as a matter of courtesy, I would also join this morning and become a Tuesday man too. So let's get it rolling. Dianna, Roleza, let's get this interview.
All right. So, Mr. Mega Fraser, I understand you have mega plans for Central Kingstown. What makes your mega plans special to the people of Central Kingstown? I mean, everybody has plans for their constituency. People have plans for the country. So, what reassurance can you give to Central Kingstown constituents that your mega plans are indeed mega plans?
Before we go there, where you get mega from though? Because I read fast.
It was like a football play name. When I was younger, not so young, sorry. I played football. I was kind of like small, and everybody used to like push me around. And I decided to change that. And so I started to hit the gym when I was like in my 19, 20. And I started to put on size and muscle and stuff. And then when people tried to push me off the ball, they found it very difficult. And everybody started to use different adjectives to describe me. Oh boy, you see how huge Mega B. Before the Mega, you see how huge Marvin B. And then eventually it was like, boy, we are finding a different word because this guy keep putting on size all the time. And everybody then decided it was Mega. And so it moved from Mega to Mega Don to Megatron. And everybody put their own twist on it, but eventually it stuck. Mega stuck.
So this is very apt given who it is you're coming up against.
Well,
that's the story that you just told is very apt in relation to the.
Well, of course. I mean, I really don't like discussing people, but in this case, it definitely is.
Okay, all right.
So back to your question.
Yeah.
And my plans for Central Kingstown. It is different because I am someone who has been known to deliver. It is different because when I go around and speak to the people of Central Kingstown, they're tired of promises. They're tired of people coming to them and saying things and not delivering. And they're happy that a lot of them have known me based on my exploits in football and community service. A lot of the young people, a lot of their parents. And the thing with Central Kingstown is Central Kingstown needs somebody who can deliver for them. We've been there. We've been waiting for a proper representative. And growing up where I'm from, in Paul's Avenue and in Kingstown, I've never had the opportunity to have any politician come and sit with me or my family and say to us, these are what we want to do. How do you think you can fit into these plans? The difference with me is that I have gone to people in Central Kingston, and my plans are not Marvin's plans. They're the plans that people of Central Kingston say they want to see, things that they want to see done in their community. Of course, you would have the road issue everywhere. People want to see their roads fixed, and to fix roads, you have to fix drainage, you have to fix a lot of things. And so, outside of the fixing roads, you want to have something in Central that stands out. Everybody's talking about hotels and other things in their constituency. What can we do for Central? Central is a hub for commerce. Central Kingston is the hub for culture. Central Kingston is the hub for sports, and it has been known that way. But what are we doing? It is easy for everybody to come and say they want to see the sporting facilities developed. And right now, the ULP is doing that. We've already started that. But outside of that, you have to see how we could develop the land masses that we have. And what do we have? We have places like the Fenton area, where I told persons that I would sort out the roads going up there for farmers. And I have done that within the space of 6 months. Now we are connecting that road. But delivering the education revolution and staying within the context of the Prime Minister's vision of one university graduate per household, Central Kingston has already gotten a lot of these tuition scholarships. In fact, Central Kingston probably has one of the highest attainment. We in Central Kingston, we've gotten more scholarships than a lot of the other constituencies. And so we have to work on those things, build them out. How do we get Central Kingston to be a place where we have more jobs now that we have the port? So we have to link these things, and all of that is in my plans, ensuring that we give entrepreneurs more opportunities, ensuring that we utilize all the community centers for skill training, ensuring that and I'm dreaming big when it comes to Central, because that big landmass that we have up there, my plan is to make sure that we utilize it as much as possible. More housing, a recreational area, because we have waterfalls up there. Most people don't know that. When I go through up there, you have at least 5-6 waterfalls up there that people don't really frequent. But if you go up there and you build out that kind of recreational city up there, it then allows people to come, and because you connect, you drive through the Fenton area and you go all the way to Belair. So you could access that from both areas. How do we transform that into something massive for the people of Central Kingston? And the plan is there. It's just for me to get there to turn that into something mega. And I will do that. The education revolution, as I said, we will continue to build that out into something great. One of the other things that I've noticed is and I've spoken about it, what I call neglection of our elderly. A lot of us in Central Kingston grew up with grandparents, and it's something that stays. You go into a lot of these homes and the grandparents are still there. But we leave them at home. We go to work because we're busy trying to make things work. And we come back home and they're still sitting around, most of them in the same place that we left them in the morning, just when somebody's there to probably give them something to eat. How do we get our elderly engaged again, to live again? And not just when you reach the age of 60 something, 70, you just put aside. I want to ensure that monthly there's a program that we take the elderly outside, get them back living again, take care of them. So more nursing aides I want trained to take professional care of our elderly, to love them and treat them with the respect that they deserve instead of pushing them in a corner. So there's a lot of mega plans, and they're realistic. They're not something that you cook up. But speaking to the people of Central, these are some of the things they want to see. They want to be able to, in the morning, leave their kids in a preschool that is close by. So they want to see a wonderful preschool built in the community of Central Kingston where they could leave their children and go to work. Some of them have to hustle, go somewhere far, leave the child there and then try to get to work for 8 o'clock. It's a different thing. So there's a lot of tracks, dirt track roads, and these things that they're outside of the major road infrastructure, but we're talking about these minor footpaths and areas where people need to get out of their homes. I need to fix those. I need to make them into something. And these are the things that people are crying out for. So those are some of the plans. All these footpaths and steps so people could get to their homes. I want to do all of them for them. And so those are just a few things off of the top of my head. I know I've been rambling on, but sorry.
All right. So besides your role in football and before declaring your interest in politics, in what other ways were you involved in your community or the constituency?
Right. So my role in football, and I think by my role in football, you're probably talking about from a national perspective, because I can't divorce my role in football from my involvement in the community in Central, because it's through my roles in football that I have been intimately involved with the community of Central. Most of the young people, whether you're from Green Hill, Sharps, Lago Height, Lodge Village, wherever you have engaged me, through my developmental program for young people in football. So that is what I've been known for. And through that, I then branch off into other things. So I talk about community cleanups. In order to do that, I go through football. I get the kids and them involved for the love of sport, and then I sit with them, I talk to them, and then I tell them, let's go somewhere and clean up this area. Let's do something. Let's paint somebody's place. Let's do that. But that comes through football. Things like my Christian outreach program, going around and evangelizing, talking to kids, mentoring them, counseling them. Those things I've done. But to reach an audience, I also gear it towards football, female, male, because you get to engage them and get them a part of it, because they see something that they like, you use what they like, and you get them to branch off into other things. So it is where I use the base. The fundamental thing about being a child of God is that you have to see other areas, and your benevolence programs, those are things that I've been involved in my community and outside of my community. I've reached through the benevolence program all the way down to Carib Village. You understand me? Going there, preaching the word, handing out packages, that kind of thing. And you have gone through Louis Panett home. All of that I've done before my political engagement. So it makes it easy, because I have been somebody who likes to serve and who enjoys serving. I believe 100% that politics should be about serving people. And if you have that base already, if you love doing it for free, you will continue to do it. And so that is where I am transitioning from. Community-based servant. Jesus told his apostles that the greatest in the kingdom must be a servant. And so if you serve more in Christ's eyes, you are even greater. So it's all about service, my friend.
Okay. It's interesting.
Let me just come here, because I saw you as the MC at the gospel concert, and I hadn't connected you so much with Christianity, with your faith and so forth. And as I was asking questions, I got that impression that the depth to which you then, when you came over on stage, you were really impressive. But how do you connect your Christian faith and so forth with that in relation to politics? I'm curious about that. People often see a conflict with that.
Well, politics is about development.
Yeah.
Politics is about progress. Politics is about changing people. There is no better way to change people than to change them spiritually. There's no better way to have people think progressively than to have them think spiritually. Now, we don't understand that because we are living in a society where everything seems so materialistic. Everything that, for me, our standard in our society is basically, it's motivated by greed. It's about getting more and wanting to get more. And so all we do is think about, oh, I want to go away and study to develop myself so that I could get a better job, so I can make more money, so I could achieve more things. And it's all about material. Spiritually, when you think of people like the monks and the Buddhas and these people believe that spiritual connection and living holistically for the spirit and for the soul motivates you to be stronger physically, to be healthier physically. Your spiritual man is greater than your physical man. And unless we understand that, we would all basically fail as a people. Now, when you look, if I ask people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, whether you're NDP, ULP, whatever you want to be, if I ask people, the mothers and the grandmothers who are frequenting church buildings, if I ask them, what is more important, material or your soul? They're going to say, my soul. And that is because biblically, when you look at Matthew 16:26 and Mark 8:36, the Bible says to us that it profits us nothing if we gain the world but lose our souls. And so I am living by that. I want my people to understand, and I will try my best to do it. My decisions as your political representative must be grounded in what God would want me to do. It must be grounded in ensuring that I understand the principle that if God be for us, nothing can be against us. And it must be grounded in the fact that God says to us that righteousness is what exalts a nation, and not so much materialism and everything else. And so my people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in Central, we have to try our best to move away from just grabbing all the materialism and dealing with the spiritual man. So politically, I am not going to be divorced in any way. And for persons who are thinking, oh, if he gets into politics, politics will change him and make him this. My purpose is that I want to change the way we do things politically. And I want to have as much influence on not just my co-members in parliament, but I want to have as much influence as possible on my prime minister. I want to have as much influence as possible on my community. And I've been trying to do that outside of politics. It won't change me, because I'm telling you, we sing this song now with so much. Everywhere you go, people are singing this song. I love you, Lord. And everybody loves that song. But we love the song. But are we living the words? Are we really loving the Lord? And if you love the Lord, you're going to make sure that everything you do, the decisions you make, are guided by the Lord. If all of us politically on either side decide to live for God more, we'll make better decisions, we'll conduct ourselves better, and the country would be run better. I know that for sure.
So you think that God has directed you along this path?
Well, I could do nothing without Christ.
Okay.
I could do nothing without Christ. And it's not like I woke up a day and just decided, oh, I'm up, I want to be a politician. Everything that has led me to this, it's as far as I've seen it, and all over my life has moved. I'm not a perfect human being. And if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. So everybody has to transition from a period of where I used to be to where I want to be. And where you want to be, you cannot be unless you involve God in it. And so everything that I want to be, I hope and pray that God would help me through it as I lift up my voice to him in prayer so that he could guide me. That is what I want.
All right. So I see that someone was trying to call a while ago, but just give us a few more, maybe just one or two more questions, and then we would open the lines for callers. Okay.
Fraser, I have to be honest. I really would love to challenge you there on the spirituality and the politics thing, but we don't have enough time, so I'm gonna have to leave that one. But my next question is now coming from something like Christianity and church and sports, where togetherness is something that is promoted. It's not really something that is segregated per se. You come together. I mean, you have a little competition in these sports, which is you have to have somebody to compete against, but it's not the same as partisan politics. So how do you navigate all of that? The person who you were before, serving before in that aspect, to now serve in something that I would say is a different aspect.
It is a different aspect. It is magnified in the sense that it's on a bigger stage. But your roots play a lot of an important role in your life and the trajectory, your pathway that you choose. Now, people don't know this, but some of the nastiest things that you go through in football politics. I could tell you that. You go through a lot of it in football politics. A lot of the betrayal you face from persons who stand in front of you and say that they are with you, and on the day of the election, they're against you. You go through that in football politics. A lot of the plans that you set out to make and sit down and you spend nights plotting them out so that you could be elected as a football president, so that you could present a case to the football-loving people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, only to have these plans rejected because of who they want to vote for, and then come back to you afterwards to say, help me with the same plans that you were proposed. You get that in football. I transitioned those experiences to politics. And it is not about Marvin Fraser, the man by himself. It's about working with a team of people, working with a competent leader in Comrade Ralph Gonsalves. It's about working with persons who have had the experiences, the Orlando Brewster, the Sabuto Caesar. It's about fitting in and working with them to accomplish the things that I want to see happen in Central Kingston. So when you look at it and say, it is not the same, I agree with you. But the support system and the mechanism that are in place helps you to transition. You learn along the way. You develop along the way. And I'm not a politician, and I'm not aspiring to be the sort of politician that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is accustomed to. Marvin Fraser will be Marvin Mega Fraser, the person you have known, but I would be serving on a greater scale with the assistance of the comrades around me who I love and appreciate. And when I tell you I love my Prime Minister, I love the members that I'm with, the team that I'm with. And when you have that kind of support system in place, I know that I will develop into somebody better. I would start from point A and hopefully move on to better things. And it is going to be encouraged by me walking circumspectly with the Lord, because I can only do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that right there, my friend, is how I plan to deal with these issues.
Let me come back in here. Marvin,
yes.
In terms of your opponent, you have some similar characteristics in the sense that having been president of the Football Federation, you, on the other hand, having led avenues, to several championships and so forth, things like that, and all of it. And being seemingly grounded in the thing. But are you a bad boy? You know? And do people sometimes like a bad boy and so forth? Or are you painting a picture because you're different that people prefer that? In other words, what impact is this having on the ground?
All right. So I think everyone has what is termed as a bad streak in them. I think everybody could say that somewhere along the line, some persons has encountered a bad side of you based on your reactions to them at a certain point in your life, based on circumstances. There's a lot of people who could term people a bad boy. Where I'm from, I mean, we have always been marginalized. I mean, Central Kingston. When
I was more to the prime is often called Lee Cock a bad boy and so forth.
Well, I think they call him a bad boy because of his arrogance, the way he behaves in Parliament, the way he courses out. I think that is why they call him a bad boy. You know what I'm saying? But bad boy on the streets is a different thing. When you grow up on the streets and you've mingled with what bad boy is, then I wouldn't really call my opponent a bad boy. I will call him somebody who is arrogant, and somebody who when he gets upset and when things don't go his way, he throws a tantrum and that kind of thing. But I mean, the impact on the ground, I don't know if people really love a bad boy per se. People love to know that they have somebody who's willing to stand up for them, who's willing to defend them, who's willing to go all out for them. And you don't necessarily have to be arrogant about going out for people and defending people. You just have to be decisive. You just have to be somebody who is straightforward, who deals with the issues and don't compromise when it comes to doing what is right. And sometimes when you don't compromise when it comes to doing what is right and you stand firm, people believe in some way that you may come over violent according to how you behave, and sometimes people don't like that. When it comes to on my campaign, I know that whether I've met NDP people, whether I've met ULP people, in my traversing and conversing with them, they want somebody to represent with a different attitude than the current representative. However, the NDP persons in my constituency, a lot of them are more for the party. They are voting for the party no matter what. And so they say to me, Mr. Fraser, you sound like a good guy. I've listened to you. I pray and bless that God works out for you, but I'm voting for my party. You understand me? It's not like they say, I'm sticking with the opponent. I'm voting for him because I love his behavior. I love his attitude. They're voting because they're sticking with the party. A lot of them has expressed to me that they wish he would conduct himself differently. They wish he would behave differently. So it's not as if they cherish the bad boyism or the rhetoric that is being painted out there of him being a bad boy. And when they talk to me, a lot of them know where I'm from. A lot of them know that I've been around. I've had my share of being labeled because of my association, because of family members, because of all kind of things. But I have always been that. My first 2 years in the St. Vincent Grammar School, when somebody's pen was missing, one of the first bag that they went to check was mine. And that was because I was from Paul's Avenue. And if anyway in the class we are discussing in social studies the drugs and the habits of illegal substances, all the jokes would be on me. They would turn around and say, Marvin would know about that. He from the slum. And I was never offended about it. I just knew that that is what it was. And in my mind, I said to myself, one of these days, we're going to change that. It doesn't help that persons from the ghetto areas get involved in a lot of things that they shouldn't get involved in, because it's already painted out there that that is what they make of us, and we are marginalized by that. I couldn't get a job in St. Vincent and the Grenadines back there 20 something years ago, based on the fact that my address would say Paul's Avenue. Because as soon as these applications saw Paul's Avenue, it was like in the dustbin. I've seen people who have worked in places where they need business subjects, but they went to grammar school with me and they went to 5 science. They got science subjects, chemistry and biology, and they're working in business offices that I applied and was told that there were no jobs, no vacancies. And that is because I'm from Paul's Avenue. And it was the same thing that people who were around me, who were from Largo Heights and Bottom Town and Edinburgh and even Sharps, they were facing the same things. So we kind of grew close together, knowing that that is what we had to encounter in life. And so it's not about having any kind of bad boy image sometimes. Sometimes you're just stigmatized. You understand me? And that is the rhetoric, that is the narrative that I want to change for my people. I want to show my people that it is not where you come from, but it's where you could go and where you're going. And I am telling them that you can't go there without Jesus.
All right. So we are going to open the phone lines at this time. The number to call is 457-9997. If you wish to pose a question to Mr. Fraser, the ULP's candidate for Central Kingston. All right. So, all right. So in the interim, okay, so somebody's already calling. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I joined when Mr. Fraser was talking something about Fenton Mountain. I do hear all of this today. I now put on my radio. So I'm very glad, because I don't know if nobody like they're doing it. In 1984-85, I was standing in town right by the bank there. That time I think was Barclays Bank, and I see a long 10-ton truck, those green truck coming from somewhere. I thought it's down the Cannon Park or somewhere they used to plant cane, fully cane. So I said that they're right. So they say, when I watch, I see up Dash the Hill. I say, one day, I don't know if those places wrong. So I say, I wonder if we can make a bypass road behind the background there to go and come up in the countryside. But then somebody tell me have bill here and then place. I say, oh, so I don't know if what he going to do, if he gonna move those houses and things. I don't know. So I asked him the question, how he's going to make the road in Fenton Mountain. And so because I didn't hear all what he's saying. And I have another question for him. Anyway, let you answer this. And then I will ask him the next question.
All right. Okay, you're allowed one question. You hear? Because we short for time. So your question is the Fenton question?
Yes. Okay, let you answer that then.
Okay. All right. Thanks Daniel. Mm-hmm.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much for your question. I want you to know that there's a road already in place from Fenton to Belair. Over the years, because of water and a lot of other things and improper drainage, landslides and that kind of thing, the connection was a bit severed. And there was a issue coming from the Redemption Sharps, Green Hill area, trying to get to farmlands and stuff. And when I started to go around, a couple of the farmers went with me and showed me that they couldn't get to their land and how difficult it was for them to get their produce out. They were basically, the dance wasn't paying for the light.
Okay. All right. So I make a note of it and you continue. Okay. Hi. Good morning.
Hi, good morning to the panel. Good morning, Roleza, Dianna, Dr. Gerald Thompson, good morning. And Mr. Fraser, good morning. How are you, sir? I
am good by the grace of God, my friend.
All right. Well, you were speaking about football. I would have been remiss of me not to tap in here and just to share with the listening public and just to refresh your memory of something. By the way, it's Val Matthias speaking.
Hey, Val, how are you doing, my brother?
Fine, thanks. I hear you talk about the football, and I want to share something with the public that would speak to your character in terms of being a person, a go-getter. I remember when I was introduced to the Football Federation and under your presidency, we verbally spoke about a communication plan and you said, hey, Val, put it in writing, put the plan in writing and we'll make it happen. And I think, I can't recall the year to be precise, but I think we had won the men's Windward Islands football tournament or something, but that year was definitely big for football in St. Vincent.
2019, Val, 2019.
2019. And I remember we going around, you were, handling the interviews. And I remember one of your favorite phrases, teamwork makes the dream work. I don't know if you can recall that.
Always, Val.
Always. And okay, so I want to go back to finally to a point that Dr. Gerald Thompson made on your presentation on Sunday. That was definitely for me, having interacted with you previously on, interviews and so forth. I was blown away. Well done. For a moment, I thought you took a page from my book, but you did better. You did it better by far. I even recall hearing the Prime Minister said that he himself was also impressed with your presentation. So is this a new Marvin or how would you describe the Marvin now? And how would it impact the person you were before? I don't know if both who you are now would collide with the person you were then going forward as a politician, as someone who has thrown your hat into the ring. I'll listen off air.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Well, I want to get back to the first person. And I want to tell you that you're going to see great things with this development of the Fenton area because I want to utilize that land mass as much as possible. So stick with Marvin Fraser and work with me because I can't do everything by myself unless the community gets involved. And so once you are involved with me, friend, you will definitely see the whole build out of that Fenton area in time to come. So for Val development is a process. Marvin Fraser in 2019, Marvin Fraser in 2012, Marvin Fraser in 2002 is not the same Marvin Fraser that you're going to get now. And I definitely hope by God's blessings that the Marvin Fraser in the next 10 years is not the same Marvin Fraser that you're getting now. I trust that God helps me to develop, to grow, to mature, because maturity is not something you get overnight or in 3 or 4 years or even in 20, 30 years. There are persons who I know who are older than I am, who I sit with and speak with, who continue to develop. What you saw on Sunday night was me saying that don't bury your talent. Don't bury your gift. If you have one gift, 2 gifts, utilize it. Allow God to utilize your gift to bring about greater success and development in your life.
All right, so we have another call. Hi, Coach. Good morning.
Good morning. Marvin Mega, I hear you're very strong on the Christian side, but you know that you're going to be coming up to a community of people that don't believe. How are you planning to work with these people? Because you say everything you're doing is through Jesus and things like that. And people who don't believe that, how are you going to convince them that they need to work with you when they don't believe in the true Jesus kind of a system?
All right. Thanks, Coach. That's not fair, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, my friend. Now, everybody don't have to always believe the message at first, and you would get to understand that. But your actions speak louder than words. Your work speak louder than words. And my grandmother, growing up with a grandmother, always used to say to me, Marvin, the good things you do would follow you, but the bad things you do would always run you down. And so once you continue to do good and do the work, people are not going to buy into it at first. There are a lot of persons in Central Kingstown who have heard politicians make promises, say things to them, and have not delivered. And so they're dejected. they feel as if this is just another one. And so some people will take longer to come on board and to move. But a faith that says, I have to convince people of my faith or get them to believe in God before they move. My faith in God propels me to act based on what I should be doing and what is right. Persons would eventually see that my actions speak louder than my words, and I am sure that they would gravitate to the message, they would gravitate to the actions, they would gravitate and commit themselves to walk along with me. So it is a bit complicated. Not everybody you meet are spiritually inclined, and even those who profess to be spiritually inclined are not so, because Jesus himself say, it's not everybody who say, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom. So you're going to always meet that fight, that struggle. But in the end, if you hold firm to your commitment and you keep working, things will work out for you, Kojo. And I believe that 100%, my brother.
All right. Dave?
Yes. Well, I'm glad you called my name, because whenever I speak with a focus. I try to speak with clarity, objectivity, and straight off. I do not believe that politics and Christianity could work hand in hand. I repeat, I do not believe that Christianity and politics can work hand in hand. I want to wish you well as a human being. And that's the first thing we have to recognize. Here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I am not happy the way we disrespect one another, the way we try to assassinate, call it character assassination. No matter who you are, when it comes to politics, that's what you get. So I will be watching you. I don't know you. I have been a voice for a long time, making my presence felt. I have heard many people like you come before, and this God or this Christianity thing is a nice way to start. So I will hope, but you already said how you love the comrade leader and all of that. Remember, when you get into this thing, it is not you alone speaking. You're speaking on behalf of a whole set of people whose character will be questionable. Thank you. I wish you well.
Caller, I understand everything you're saying. And I could only speak for Marvin, Fraser. If I say that I love my wife, my children, I could only speak based on what I know. I can't tell you to love them too, because you have not had the encounters that I have had. And so our circumstances and what we go through shape us differently. Now I wanna answer you and everybody else who believes that Christianity and politics cannot go hand in hand. Because we are looking at politics from the perspective of how we conduct ourselves in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and from the perspective of what people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have come to love and want to see happen with our country. And so nobody who says that they're serving God can go on a podium anyway and call people all kind of names and say all kind of nasty things about people, because from a biblical perspective, we are commanded to speak evil of no man. When you read the book of Jude, even the devil, when he was contesting for the body of Moses and he encountered Michael the archangel, no charge was brought against him. Michael did not say anything evil about him, but committed him unto the Lord himself, who would judge on the last day. And so if we are not people of the Bible, we will not understand this. Every single king that Israel had, every single king that Israel had, the kings were the political leader, the leader of the country. And all the kings that Israel had from the Old Testament time, once they obeyed God, Israel was blessed as a nation. And when they disobeyed God, when they were without that spiritual inclination, Israel failed as a nation. And so God has always called the leaders of his country, of his nation, to be spiritually inclined, to be people who love the Lord and who serves him. I am telling you, the reason why it looks so difficult for you to see is because as St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have not been practicing that. We have not been practicing leadership that works hand in hand with what God wants it to be. And that is why people are of the opinion that it can't work, because all politicians nasty and all politicians are thieves and all politicians are this and that. Because politicians need to ensure that their lives line up with what God wants it to be. And I am telling you, if you out there, and you too, Kojo, if you in any way, because I hear you say, and God can't walk with politics, and if you believe in God in any way, if you wake up every day and you say your praise to God Almighty, the great Yahweh, if those of you, whether you are on any political side, get up every day and you say your praise and you glorify God for lifting you out of that bed, and you ask him to guide you through your day because you believe in him and his son and salvation, I am telling you, believe in every part of the Bible where it says especially that righteousness, that is Proverbs 14 verse 34, that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. And if you believe that righteousness exalts a nation, you will want political leaders who are living and serving a righteous God and living righteous lives.
All right. I have two questions. Based on what you just said, though, should you get into office, should you win your seat and the ULP is reinstated back into office, and you get in and you see things happening that you do not like, that doesn't align with your morality, your spirituality, etc., what would Marvin Fraser do at that point in time? Before the 5 years is up, that is, what would you do?
Marvin Fraser has to stand up for God.
So would Marvin Fraser leave, or would Marvin Fraser try to stay to change the things around him?
Well,
what?
No,
I know it's a hypothetical question.
And I understand where you're going with the question, my friend. Nobody can effect change from running away from the situation. You can't come to work and see that there's a policy in place at your job that does not promote and harness a proper working environment, and the first thing you decide to do is throw your bag over your shoulder and walk out and resign.
Suppose I say this is not my fight.
If it's not your fight, then whose fight is it? Because if everybody does that and say that it is not their fight, nobody would effect change. Somebody has to be the person who stands up. If you check history, the Martin Luther King, the Marcus Garvey, the Malcolm X, everybody who has come up to and allow us to be here today as a black people, as a black race, as a black nation, they had to stand up in the face of all kind of adversity. They got killed for it, but they stood for it. Right here in St. Vincent, our Black Power movement, people had to stand up. If I don't stand up in the political arena, in parliament, and tell my comrades and friends when they are going wrong, spiritually, morally, ethically, then what kind of man I am? What kind of man would I be? And so people expecting you to talk one thing, and then when you go in the gravy chain and the money and everything will change you. I am telling you, E.T. Joshua died a pauper. But a lot of people still have to talk about E.T. Joshua because he was a champion for poor people. He gave of himself and gave until he ended up with nothing. A lot of people who have given of themselves in this world, sacrificed themselves for the better good. Marvin Fraser, Marvin Mega Fraser will never compromise his integrity and Christianity for anything financial. People know that of me. If people know me, they know that of me. And inside of politics, if I can't tell my people around me where they're going wrong, my first priority to every human being is to ensure that they save their souls, you know. Salvation is necessary after this life is said and done. Hebrews 9:27 says it is appointed unto man once to die, but after death is judgment.
Let me come here. I mean, on that, do you think it's a fundamental of one, politicians' salaries should increase? And that may help in some way. What's your view? I know your opponent has been championing that cause, that politicians, parliamentarians' salaries need to increase. And then secondly, if there's time, you talked about about Central Kingston, sorry. And I mean, you just got a port, right? And it's the heart of the commerce. I don't know if the new development and the new lands that are going to be available where the new cruise ships and so forth falls on the U, or it's East Kingstown,
or West.
You know, or well, the Grenadines Wharf, Grenadines area is West, but Kingstown is so broad. And Kingston, we're expanding Kingstown. Grenville was here yesterday talking about Camden Park. You know, there's another town and all. Really, that commercial growth. How do you see that too? First of all, in relation to parliamentarian salary that your opponent is champion, do you believe that's the way to go?
No, I don't. I'm not opposing anybody saying that they need more money. I am opposed to people wanting more money when they're not doing the work that is required for them to get more money. Anybody could come and get up a day and go to their employers and say, I need a raise, I need more money. But the employer is going to look at what you are doing, and with the pay rise, you're going to find yourself with more things to do. They're going to now give you more objectives that you have to achieve, because with more money comes more responsibility. So if parliamentarians are supposed to get more money, that has to be worked out on the scale of what are you going to bring to the table that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are going to say they deserve it. And right now, I don't think that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines believe that politicians should be getting more. In fact, when you think of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and when you speak to them and the things that they're going through, they always allude to the fact that these guys are living it up. They had the best of everything while we the poor suffering. And so for a politician to come and say they want more, where is the more for the people? Give the people the more, and then you could talk about how you want more. I don't want politicians to ever feel they want more or should get more. And when a politician says that the fundamental problem, one of the fundamental problem is that their money is too small, I see too many fundamental problems that are plaguing my constituency and plaguing my people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that are greater and should be resolved before any politician get more money. So that is one. That is how I feel. Two, the port in Central Kingston, West Kingston, East Kingston, because it's broad and it's spread across the whole area. But it's a Kingston port. East Kingston, when you start to enter the capital of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you have to start from East Kingston. You have to start from West Kingston before you come into Central Kingston. So the Kingston constituency, the three of them together, represents a serious commercial hub of the country, the heartbeat of the economy, basically when it comes to the business capacity. And the port is going to seriously affect trade. It's going to affect tourism. It's going to have a magnificent impact, not just on central Kingston, but on the economy. And so our central Kingston and Kingston people have to be willing to find a way to see how they could fit in and be able to work and sell their products in a certain way, be professional. And this is why in central Kingston, I want to offer training for people to get involved in the arts, tie-dyeing, and all of these things need to come back so that they could sell things to the tourist ships that are going to frequent our shows. We have to be able to present ourselves in such a way. The little cat man who want to do things, transport things, he has to present himself in a certain way because that is your profession, that is your trade, that is what you're doing. Everybody has to be thinking, as the PM says, we are heading in the next 15 years to a first world nation. And if you believe that vision and you want to be a part of it, you have to change yourself now to get involved in what the port is going to bring, what the airport is bringing, what the hotel industry is bringing, what the cultural art form could present. You have to change your mindset right now to be thinking business-wise and to be thinking professionally.
All right. So I think with that we can bring.
I just wanted
this.
to ask
Okay,
one
so
more
go
question,
ahead.
but if you could answer like in 2 minutes, because we really and truly
I'll try
over
my
time,
best,
right? It would be remiss of me to not ask this question. You are from Paul's Avenue. Paul's Last, I don't know which word you use, but you know what I mean, right? You're from Paul's Avenue, and if you are elected into office, what are you going to do to help to change or bring about a change to the stigma that's associated with that community?
Well, I have to first of all make sure that my people in Paul's Avenue, the guys, because the stigma of Paul's Avenue is coming from a small section of Paul's Avenue, living there. Every single day you go through Paul's Avenue is like the hub of Kingston. There's so many business places in Paul's Avenue that housing and the little kids who used to ride bikes and stuff in Paul's Avenue can't even do that no more. Paul's Avenue is traffic flowing, is business places, is restaurants, is tire shops, is all kind of thing. The stigma comes from one section of Paul's Avenue. And so I have to try to change the mindset of my people who are a part of that to want to go out and work honestly for a daily bread. I have to change that with them. I have to make sure that while jobs are here and they're not willing to go to them, the mindset is that when some of them get up and go to these jobs, they are back on the street because as soon as they make a mistake, the first thing the bosses and stuff do is throw things in their face and run them back out on the streets. And that is not just happening in Paul's Avenue, it's happening all across my constituency. So apart from the business places needing to play their role in training themselves to deal with these kind of young men who come up from these less fortunate families, these guys need to change their mindset too and present themselves as viable entities to fit in the community and the country to do progressive initiatives and movements.
All right. So with that, we have come to the end of this interview as part of our political conversation series with Marvin Mega Fraser, who is the ULP's candidate for Central Kingston. Of course, we're going to give you the final word, whatever it is you want to leave with.
Just before I know it, Marvin, I've listened to a lot of politicians. I mean, this is refreshing. Seriously, I've listen. I mean, I've worked with you. You know, last year was one of the first times I got to really work with you. And you know the difficulties we had bringing off cannabis. And I tell you, you were such an asset. You helped, you know, and I want to thank you. But I want to thank you again before you speak. And my co-host will be upset because I'm soaking up time. That essentially I've been inspired a lot by what I've heard, and I think it's refreshing. to hear this.
Thank you. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I want to thank WEFM for having me here. And I want to say to us as a people that we could only seriously evoke the kind of positivity we want to see in our communities and in our country if we first change our mindset and how we see a lot of things. And I want to let you know that the ULP government has done magnificent things in the 24 years in office, and we will continue to do magnificent things for you. You don't have to study people who are saying change without saying why they want change. Every person who I encounter who say they want change cannot give me reasons why they want change, because the progressive movement of the ULP is something that they don't want to realize based on just partisan politics. So I want to say that first. But more than anything else, I want to tell you this, that it profits none of us anything if we gain the world and lose our souls. Salvation is necessary. Get on the positive train for Jesus more than anything else. And with that, I say good morning.
It is 9:10 and we are going to head straight into